Reserve. The root of all our evil, it begins with the Federal Reserve. Hey, yeah, well, let's go back in time when everybody was so proud of a man.
I'm drinking coffee, and this is year 0. Today, a little hangout session with the artist formerly known as TopLobsta, aka Danny. We just hang out and chat, get to know each other a little bit, and have a really fun, interesting conversation. I think all of you will enjoy it. But first, in competition with TopLobsta is Ryan Bunting at ryanbunting.com. For all of your graphic design needs, go to ryanbunting.com. Ryan Bunting is a good libertarian and anarcho-capitalist. He's also a great graphic designer. He designed my podcast logo and Pete Quinones' podcast logo. So go to ryanbunting.com for all of your graphic design needs. As always, thank you, Tom Burton, for the music. And if you're interested in supporting the show and learning autonomy to improve your life, your marketing skills, check out the affiliate links below. All right. I am here with TopLobsta. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, Tommy?
How you doing?
How's it going? Doing well, man. I'm glad to be here with you.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm glad I'm your first solo. This is going to be interesting.
You're popping my cherry.
Yeah. No more orgies for you, sweetheart.
That was a gangbang, man. Quincy Quincy Red Palace.
I knew as soon as fucking Medic was like, Scott was like, yeah, y'all should do a truckers episode with Q and Tommy. I was like, oh, Reed has no idea what's about to happen.
Yeah. Reed told me.
I've done 2 episodes with Quincy before, so I know him fairly well.
Yeah, I was actually scrolling through your podcast list, and my wife was like, "Oh, who's the guy you're gonna go on with?" And I'm like, "Holy shit!" Like the lineup that you had there, I'm like, I don't know if I belong here, man.
Oh yeah, man. You're one of the crew nowadays, man.
I know.
You're part of the Liberty crew.
Holy shit! How did that happen?
Oh, you worked your ass off, dude. You made some good ass fucking product.
Appreciate that. But yeah,
sounds like I'm talking meth with you.
Yeah, we're gonna go cook in my basement, you know. I told Reed. Well, he texted me. He said, "Yeah, I don't really know the guy Q, but I think I'm just gonna wing it." And I was like, "Oh, you don't know Q? You're gonna find out today." But people seem to love it, man. Even a Scott Horton messaged me privately and said that he thought it was pretty badass, and I was like, almost fell out of my chair. Pretty cool.
Yeah, Scott's a cool dude, man. He's a lot of fun. He always tells me every time we talk, he's like, I used to be funny before I started digging into all this shit and got so miserable.
Yeah. He's like on point. He's like one of those hounds. Once you set him on something, man, he's going deep in it. It's great though. I've read I'm reading through his The Great Ron Paul. But I've read the other 2 books that he has, and holy shit, you know, if you want to do a deep dive into something, my goodness.
Yeah. I haven't read enough already yet. That will be the next book I read, actually. And I keep saying that, but I keep finding myself down these fucking rabbit holes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, and enough already is sitting on my shelf, mine, and he sent me and my wife each one autographed, which was sweet. Of him. He didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
I was planning on buying it anyway, but so I'm gonna have to buy some copies and send out to some people just because he sent us 2 copies.
That thing, man, in the future, it'll be a travesty if that thing's not worth some good money in the future. That guy's a legend. But I just got your boy Ryan Bunting's book today. So
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, my daughter was like stealing it from me, but my book queue is gonna be so long. I have like probably 10, maybe 15 that I'm behind. So I see something, I'm like, I got to get this before they censor it on Amazon or whatever. They change the words.
No, you'll enjoy Project Manicore.
I like how Ryan wrote it. I mean, I read it in 3 days. Like,
Oh yeah,
once you start digging in, the story just rock and roll from the word go.
yeah.
So
I love those
like
kind of
that.
books. Yeah, Stephen King used to be like my favorite kind of sci-fi. He'll dabble in horror and stuff, but then
Yeah.
yeah, it's just ever since I found out like these people are just real like complete idiots. It's kind of hard to it's hard to
It's hard
delve
to
into
take them
this stuff.
seriously anymore.
Yeah, man. So many things have died this past maybe, I don't know, 2, 3 years, especially the last year. So many things have died for me that I used to love, and now I just can't seem to enjoy anymore. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to get this dog to stop chewing on my arm while I'm
It's
talking.
fun. Shit.
He fits half my damn arm in his mouth. Like from my wrist to my elbow, it's almost in his mouth. Big ass gator jaws and shit.
Oh man, leave him alone for an hour, man. Just eat him afterward.
He does this to me every time I get on a podcast. For the first 30 minutes, he'll be fucking with me because he thinks if I'm talking, I ought to be talking to him. He can't stand.
Yeah.
He's super jealous.
Probably doesn't make a lot of sense that you're talking into I guess you're using your phone right now.
Well, no, I got my laptop set up, my mixer, my microphone. I carry all this shit in my truck with me.
You're talking into like this flat box. He's like, "What the fuck are you?"
Yeah, if I had my phone in my hands, he wouldn't be messing with me. It's because I'm talking.
Yeah. Jealous kid syndrome. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, he does the same thing when my wife calls. I'll be wearing my headset when my wife calls, and I'll be talking to her, and he'll be asleep in the chair next to me. And as soon as I start talking to her, he looks at me like, "What? What you got? What are we doing? You talking to me?
Yeah.
Motherfucker, I ain't talking to you."
Oh man, yeah.
He thinks I ought to be.
Dogs are great, man. Dogs are great. There was like a few years where I was obsessed with like Caesar Milan and all that kind of stuff, like training dogs.
Yeah.
And I have an Australian Shepherd, and I was like just absolutely obsessed with training him, doing the tricks. We did agility and shit like that, man. But
Wait,
when
you have the environment for it up there for an Australian Shepherd.
No, absolutely not. In New York, man, my yard is like a little concrete block. So I feel bad for him.
Really?
Yeah.
I was being a smartass.
I know.
Those are some energetic fucking dogs, man.
Yeah. That's why we were bringing him. He was like jumping over those like the rings and all that. He loved it. Did great, but time constraints, you know.
Yeah. No, I feel you, man. So, how long you plan on staying in New York with all this crazy shit going on? Is it as bad as everybody says it is?
I don't really know what everyone is saying. I guess people are saying that it's like a disaster. Like,
oh yeah, they're saying it's like a ghost town now.
You know, it was a ghost town. When COVID first started, I drive one of my routes. Sometimes I'll take it through the city all the way up to Midtown and all that, and there was no one around. And now it's actually, I was there the other day, and there's a lot of people. It's just everyone's wearing masks, and people are still really skittish of each other. But it's a shit place to be, you know. In general, when things are going great, I think it's not a good place to be. Right. Everyone is stacked up on top of each other and kind of angry, and that's the attitude here. If you know people from New York, you could spot them out in a crowd real quick, because I'm that way too, kind of standoffish, you know. Yeah. So
I used to run up there every once in a while, and maybe it's just my personality, but I always got along with everybody up there because they're no nonsense. They don't. It's like it's quick to the point. They're witty. And, you know, but they're right in your face at the same time. I like that. I'm like, all right, cool. I don't have to guess, you know, as to where you're coming from, you know, like that's cool with me. I ain't got time to think about your thought pattern too much, you know.
Well, country people, they tie you up or something?
Huh?
Country people tie you up like in conversation?
No, it's not like that. I mean, some people will, but I think there are people like that everywhere. But there are places where I would say like Dallas is a place where you never can quite get to the point with the people that live there. It's always kind of like you're dancing around something, and it's like kind of like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Where are we going with this? Like,
yeah, no, people from New York.
Yeah, I've been sitting here for 10 minutes, and I don't know why I'm sitting here. Like, I have no idea what's happening.
People from New York will tell you to fuck off real quick if they don't want you there. And they'll tell you exactly what you need. There's actually this place in Florida I went to. It was a pizza shop that tried to be like New York. So it was just ridiculous. They gave you like a 2-foot slice. And the whole thing about them was that the people that worked there were just mean to you. And they were like, oh, it's New York style, like big pizza, and we're mean. But
was that like Dick's Last Resort or some shit like that?
I don't remember. It was in Hollywood, Florida. I don't remember the name. But I was telling the people, I was like, yeah, New York isn't like it. They're not dicks. They're just kind of like, what do you want, and keep moving, you know? It's fair enough. Don't waste my time.
Yeah, I remember when they brought down Katz's to Houston, and I was like, what is it? It's like New York, 24-hour diner or whatever. And I was like, all right, well, we left a bar one time and went there, but I don't know. I wasn't that impressed. I was just kind of like, all right, whatever.
It's not so great over here either.
Yeah. Oh, whatever. It wasn't that memorable. I was just kind of like, okay, well, it's something new. It's right in the middle of Montrose. Let's go check it out. So
now, don't quote me, but I think that they actually shut down with this pandemic over here.
They may have. I haven't been to Houston to do much of anything in a long time. I drive through there every week, but that's about it.
Mm-mm. Yeah, but as far as the shutdowns and all that go, New York, there's a lot of things closed. There's a lot of like cognitive dissonance with the people too that I see, where it's heavily Democrat, but they almost don't want to admit that this is the policy that they voted for, or that they advocated for.
Right.
They'll fight you to death for it, and meanwhile, they're on unemployment or their business is out, shit like that. Kids can't go to school. It's a really weird place to be, especially like for someone who's like becoming not becoming, but who has been an anarchist now for like probably like a year and a half, probably. I'm starting to really open my eyes to all this and the insanity that I thought was normal before.
Right. Well, you've lived there all your life.
Yeah.
I would guess by your accent.
Yes. Sorry, I can't help it.
That's all right. I'm just messing with you. So,
is it really that thick? Does it really come off like that?
No, it's not like horrible, but I can hear it. Like I know, I can tell. Like I'm like, oh, this is one of those fucking northeastern motherfuckers.
Man, when I'm here and I'm talking to people that are here, they'll tell me that I'm speaking too, not speaking too white, but speaking too proper, because like my dialect is kind of like in the middle as far as with the people that I talk with.
That's all right. You ever talk to those Philly guys, man? You want to talk about some accents?
Oh yeah, I don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah.
Or go up to Boston.
I just fucking recorded one of the fucking Philly motherfuckers yesterday. I don't even know what the hell we were saying. I was like, I was just responding. Sorry, Dave versus Goliath.
Wait, is he from? I thought he was from.
He lives in Delaware.
But he's from Philly.
Yeah, I'm giving him a hard time too because Ryan's from the Philly area too. He's got one of the fucking accents. If I don't talk shit about Ryan at least one time in my podcast, whether it's my intro or sometime during the show, I'm not doing my job. I gotta talk shit about my boy.
Yeah, dude, Ryan's a cool ass dude.
You're on my mic cord, man.
Yeah, put him on screen. On the show.
He's down at my feet. He's like being spoiled. He's like, "Oh, you won't pet me and play with me, so I'm gonna lay on your feet."
Yeah, Dave versus Goliath is a cool dude, man. I like a lot of the production that he does with his podcast and stuff like that. It's I feel like with him and like Josh Smith, and there's a couple other guys that are really like doing almost a production with their show. It's a good thing because we're moving
almost like a late night show.
Yeah, right. It has that feel to it. And it's like we're moving the culture of whatever libertarianism or whatever you want to call it, freedom, let's say, into something that could be more not mainstream, but just something that like maybe people recognize or like that's like really attractive. And I think that that's a good idea. That's one of the reasons why I started to draw and do this kind of like liberty based shit, you know?
Well, you do some really good shit, man. The one that of Scott Horton is still my favorite. I love that fucking shirt, man.
Yeah,
that is one of the
great.
coolest fucking cartoons I've ever seen. I was like, that is fucking Scott. He's just like, hold on, I don't care what you're saying. Look at this.
He's just like pointing at shit. So I was watching It's Always Sunny, obviously, and I was like, oh, that's a great scene. And that scene with Pepe Silvia reminded me of him, like when he gets on like these frantic rants when he's talking about whatever, I don't know, the Mujahideen or some shit like that. And I was like, I think I can make this happen. So I drew it up. And I sat on it for a while and I was like, I want to put it on a shirt or something. But I said, you know what? Let me just take my chances. And I put it up and I tagged him and he followed me. And then I DM'd him and I was like, hey, man, can I put this on a shirt? He's like, go ahead, bro. So I said, such a cool guy. So I sent him a couple of shirts and stuff like that. And I actually made him his own variation for, I think the Libertarian Institute has an affiliation with a t-shirt company. I forget the name. Yeah. So I made him his. Hopefully they're selling that and doing whatever. And I did one for Pete Rain for Pete Quinones also. I don't know if you saw that one.
I haven't seen that one. I'll have to check.
He's like the guy from 300 and like the movie picture where he's kind of coming at you.
Is that where the picture of him with the helmet on comes from?
No, that's Dave vs. Goliath.
Oh, okay.
That's the Magneto helmet, yeah.
Yeah.
This one I drew, he's like kind of coming at you screaming, and instead of a sword in his hand, it's the microphone, like an old school condenser mic. Oh, so nice. Yeah. Hopefully they're raising some money for the Libertarian Institute with that stuff, you know.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I haven't seen that one. I'll have to look out for it. I'll
post it up later. Check it out.
I'll go walking around with Pete across my chest.
Yeah, Pete is a cool ass dude too. I haven't really spoken to him formally, but really cool dude. He comes from pretty much where I come from, so I'm like, I relate to him a lot. I listen to that show and I'm like, I feel you, man. I'm going down that Black Hill rabbit hole with you, you know.
Yeah, I love Pete. I was messaging with him last night, just bullshitting. Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, his not I wouldn't call it a transformation, but his path and ideology really kind of molded what I'm thinking now. At first, he was really black-pilled, and I was kind of like put off by it because I was like, I don't know. But the more I look into it, and the more I read, and the more I obviously and study, I really understand what he's talking about and where he's coming from, and it's not necessarily that everything is lost, but I do appreciate people like that, man. There's some deep thinkers in the society.
Yeah, I think Pete, one thing I've noticed with Pete, which I think is really cool, and I think that's why he and I get along so well, is it seems like our minds run parallel with each other. Like whenever I'm starting to take a turn, I'll look and see what he's doing, and it happens to be like exactly where I'm at. And so I bounce a lot of stuff off of him because I'm like, I respect the way he thinks about things, and I respect his knowledge and his wisdom. And so whenever I'm running through things in my head, I'll shoot over it at him. I'll bother the fuck out of that guy. I'm sure he's like, God, this motherfucker again? What the fuck? But yeah, I'm always bouncing shit off of Pete. Like whenever I have an idea or I'm thinking about something, like he's the person I turn to and is like, hey, what do you think about this? I'm kind of thinking maybe moving this direction, yada yada yada. And he's always been really supportive and really helpful to me.
And
I met him. I think I met him. He was 80 episodes in to Free Man Beyond the Wall, and I was following him on Twitter, but I wasn't real active on Twitter up until this year. But I would get on Twitter every once in a while, and I would chat with him on Twitter, and then we became friends on Facebook and shit like that. And when I started my show, he was one of the first people I asked to come on my show.
Wow. Yeah. It's pretty cool. And he did it. And it's like, sometimes I'm kind of like, it feels a little bizarre to me that these people like, oh, they're actually talking to me, but it's such a down to earth crew and they're kind of like open to They're open to a lot of ideas and people. But one of his ideas that sorry to cut you off,
No, you're
but
fine. I'm
he's
I'm
had
I'm still fucking with this dog, man. So don't worry about me. You talk as much as you want.
put some peanut butter down there and you'll be right. So one of his ideas, or I get the people he's have on, like he's had on so Bird Archist and people like that kind of discuss these like far left. I don't know if far left is the right way to put it, but these kind of diametrically opposed thinkers, then like Kratomkin or Saul Alinsky, people like that. I think there's a lot of value in that. And Scott says it too, you want to attack the left from the left, and that's probably the best way to do it.
Right.
Really understand their ideology, probably better than they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've read one of Kropotkin's essays, man, and it was the moral. What is it called? The Morals of Anarchy, or Anarchist Morality, something like that. Is something in that along those lines. And it's really good. And it was one of his early essays. He's actually making it's really kind of a voluntarist argument from a left point of view, from like a communist point of view. It's really an interesting essay to read and look at and study, because he is, when you really dig down into what he's saying, he is making a voluntarist argument. And he's basically saying all these people that want to be autonomous and live their own lives, like the agorists or whatever, as long as they're not fucking with you and stopping your commune and your socialist, manifest in your community, like, let them do their thing, man. Like, they're not even worth the time. And I thought that was really interesting.
I guess that would fall into anarcho-communist ideology, or whatever you like to call it. Do you think that can exist in an ANCAP society? I mean, do you think ANCAPs can exist in that kind of a society?
I don't, man. I guess it really depends on because I lean more to Voltairine de Cleyre's idea that there would not be, that these isms, the communism, the capitalism, all this shit is a symptom of government and government intervention. And that when you get the government out of it, things will it'll be like chaos. It's like ordered chaos. You know what I'm saying? It was just kind of, not chaos in a bad way. It'd be like you would figure out how you want to cooperate on a social level, on an economic level, on an individual basis. So yeah, you'd have some people working and living in communes. You'd have some agorist activity. But when you get that monopoly on violence, when you get that violence out of the society and drag it out of the society, you see things like you see in Tehran. All right? So I don't know if you're familiar with Tehran. Tehran's this little town in Mexico, in the Michoacan province.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Iran. Oh, yeah, okay, I'm familiar, but go ahead.
Okay, yeah, they kicked out all the politicians, all the cartel members, all the police, this, that, and the other. And they monitor their borders, with armed security 24/7. And the Mexican police sit right outside the borders of the city and fucking, are checking people going in and coming out. Excuse me. And, but they live kind of communal, but they also have some capitalism going on. They have all kinds of shit going on in that. And so I look at the panarchist, model, and I think that's really more what would happen. Because I could never guess how you're going to interact with society. I just couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. I couldn't make that decision for you. I couldn't even guess what issues and what troubles I'm going to, come upon that are going to make me change in certain ways and kind of veer left or right and move into like a commune or away from communes, or whatever. Like, I can't predict all that. So I think the panarchist idea of how society would be structured, and if anybody's interested, I would say go read Voltairine de Cleyre's essay on anarchism. Now, Voltairine de Cleyre, she was a collectivist, she was a communist, a mutualist, a syndicalist, eventually an individualist, and then settled on this particular idea that, well, no, like all these anarchist trains of thought, they have like great and brilliant thinkers coming up with these ideas and these philosophies, but they all suffer, as Mises would call it, from the knowledge problem. Nobody knows. Like, you don't know. So there would be an ordered chaos in which you're just cooperative. You're trying to figure it out as you go along. And if you look at Moore's-Net, I don't know if you've ever read on Moore's-Net. There's a essay at Mises.org. I want to say it's called 100. What is it? I think it's A Century of Anarchy or something like that. And it's talking about Moore's-Net. And Moore's-Net was this it was a mining town that sat in between the borders of these two countries. And it just sat there, and they just did their own thing and had their own structure and lived their own way for like 100 years before Britain sent in the fucking National Guard to fucking stomp on the necks of all these miners, you know. But they were living peacefully and had were figuring it out on their own, you know. Didn't have this large governmental structure over their head. And so when I look at things like that, I'm like, I don't think carrying it down to a binary as far as anarcho-communism, anarcho-capitalism is really a fair assessment, because everybody's going to intermingle with everybody else differently. Like the way I treat my neighbor right next door to me is going to be differently than the bag lady at Market Basket, you know, the grocery store down the road. You know, so there's going to be there's always this almost a hierarchy of, you know, relations in your life, and the way that you relate with people and interact with people is always changing, and it's always fluid. So I think that's kind of what you would see in society without a government, you know, with their boot on your neck.
Yeah. You know, you use the word fluid. It kind of like made me think to like a Thaddeus Russell. He was talking with Clint about postmodernism. It got kind of heated, but there is something to that, the freedom of let me say this. So obviously the name TopLobsta, I came from like a right-wing kind of background, and that's what influenced me in here. So Jordan Peterson, and then you go to, like, I don't know, Ben Shapiro, and then fucking these people, and then you realize they're assholes, and then you come all the way down to the logical, to the logical foundation of where I'm at now. Right. But then you start to question even more, because Jordan Peterson will like rail really hard against Foucault and postmodernism and say, like, you know, that you know, ideas are final and there's not really much fluidity to what goes on. But that's not true either. You kind of you reach a point where you think you know what's going on, and then you have to break that foundation and then and pulse through that also. And yeah, I think you're right with the fluidity of how we're going to interact with people. It's just completely unpredictable, and that's kind of what makes me interested. That's why I'm going on Twitter a lot, because the people that we interact with, that we're in like the group chat with and all that, these are some interesting people. And what I love about them is that I don't know what the fuck they're going to say next. It just keeps it. Most of it's hilarious, but it's stuff that I would have never thought to type myself, you know?
Right.
Like press F in the chat for neocon remover, man. Like that guy's, his whole timeline of the shit that he was posting, it's like, it's just insanity, but it's kind of like, it's just anarchy, because my brain would have never thought to put that up there. Yeah. You know, and then
I think his original profile's back.
Yeah, I didn't follow it. I got banned from my old TopLobsta, and then I made this iteration, and I didn't follow him, so he hasn't accepted me. So if you see this, I guess accept me or don't, whatever. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know if he listens to the show or not. I honestly can't keep track of everybody that I interact with. I'm like, I love all you people, and I have like kind of like my small group that I'm always interacting with, and then everybody else, I'm happy to add you to any group that you want to be added to, like, because I have so much trouble. I might just eventually have to start a Discord or something, just so I can keep up with all that.
Yeah. Well, whatever. We're gonna try to put this in front of his face, or I don't know, El Popo's face, or whoever's gonna watch this. Come on, man. Press the accept button. I'm not a Fed. Did you see the drawing I did of him not too long ago? He was on Josh Smith's show, so I did like just
Oh yes, I did.
with the pizza in the background. It's ridiculous. It's like it's one of those where like as I'm drawing it, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing right now? It's insanity. But yeah, the like you said, the fluidity of interaction between people is really fascinating. Michael Malice made a good point, and I kind of bring it up to the normies that ask me about, well, what would you do in a society without government? What would you do here? I tell them, the most anarchist thing you can think of is probably language. It's not state mandated, and it's not state funded. No one's forcing us to speak the same dialect. As a matter of fact, I speak a different dialect, apparently, according to you, and you speak different to me. But we agree on terms that we could talk to each other about. Like when I was using the word anarcho-communist or anarcho-capitalist, I'm just using terms that I think that we can express points with, but I don't necessarily have better words for at the moment because I'm dumb. But yeah, so language I think is one of those things that it's constantly changing too, and we can't predict which way it goes. Right now, it's kind of going in a stupid direction with like the slang that we use. But yeah, I think that's a really good example of that. What you got there, Tommy?
It's just a cigarette, dude. I roll my own cigarette.
Ah, very nice. He's self-sustaining.
Yeah, American spirit. You're not going to be able to hear this part of it very much, but yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, eat shit, Joe Biden. Put menthol in my own stuff.
I do actually. I use menthol filters.
There's going to be a black market for this shit soon. Can you imagine this? Unbelievable. Oh, nice. Yeah, there you go.
I don't need your goddamn permission. And if they fucking make that illegal, I'll go buy like that little tube of like breath mint, and I'll just squirt it on the end of the filter. I don't give a fuck.
Imagine getting arrested for this shit.
Yeah.
Smell your cigarettes.
This smells minty. You smell like a fucking pig.
It smells like bacon in here, bitch. Oh man, what did you think about Biden's tweet the other day? Was it yesterday, maybe? Catch that?
Yeah, I saw that. I was laughing. I actually, I don't know if you know David Sanchez from Havoc, who was on my show a while back. He was texting me about it. He's like, "Did you see this shit?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I see it." I was like, and the first thing I saw when I clicked on there was Collapsitarian had posted a fucking meme of this dude like flipping him off. He's like, "You can suck my dick, bitch," and is like fucking throwing a middle finger. I was like,
yeah. Skip is mad cool, man. I've been following that guy for a while. I like that guy. Yeah, man. With like Joe Biden, when Trump was president, I was paying attention for the memes basically because it's really entertaining shit. Then Joe Biden became president. It's just like I'm not really gonna listen to what you say anyway. Right. But it's like maybe I could get some likes on this post. I don't know. I don't really give a shit.
What did you see today? It was on. I retweeted it. I quote tweeted it, and the FBI is going to charge people that have fake vaccine passports. And I was like, hold on. If vaccine passports aren't mandated, why do I need a fake one? Hold on. We're skipping a step here.
Yeah. You already know what's happening. I mean, you know what's coming down the tube.
Yeah.
Oh God. I got to get out of New York, man. This is going to be, we already have it here. The Mets just emailed me that they have their newly vaccinated section. If I wanted to buy tickets to their vaccinated section.
Yeah, that's what Dave versus Goliath made that meme about with the water fountains.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. I mean, it's a great meme. It's just unfortunate, like the response with the, I guess the blue pill libertarians, not even blue pill. It's a meme, guys. And it really puts forward a good point. So much so that it got you mad. That's the point of a meme, to
right.
kind of.
Yeah, it makes it pressures you. It pushes you. Yeah.
Yes.
If I ever see a meme, usually if I see a meme and it makes me mad, I stop and think about it first before I
Yeah.
respond. Because
That
I'm like, why did this trigger me? Like, what the fuck is going on here? You know,
I can't think of the last time I've been triggered by a meme. I guess I'm desensitized.
yeah. I mean, I think the last time, I don't know. I don't even remember what it would be. It was probably some stupid shit that the left put out there, and I was like, y'all can't fucking meme. Stop. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I stopped arguing with these people. But like, you know, you see me on Twitter a lot, and I'm like, I guess I'm pretty amicable on Twitter. I say like, you know, because I surrounded myself with people who are cool. Maybe I think I'm still into. I get my news from Twitter, like all the insanity of the world. But on Facebook, it's a whole nother thing because these are people that I actually know, and it enrages me on a different level. So it's not really like I'm being triggered. I'm just like, you know, how do you think this way? Like we've lived the same life, we've walked down the same path, probably in the same state, most of you, and it's the insanity. One person I know just posted that you know, although the CDC has lifted the mask mandate for fully vaccinated people, they will not be taking their masks off unless they're around people who they fully trust, which is it's really creepy. Just like people I fully trust when you think about that.
right.
Or if they're outside at a safe distance.
Well, Rachel Maddow said it perfectly. She said, "When I see somebody without a mask,
Yes,
I'm gonna have to rewire my brain so that I don't automatically think they're a threat." And me and
beep
Pete,
boop bop.
me and Pete have been saying this from the get go last year. This is turning you into the threat. You are the terrorist now. You know, like you are the threat to everybody. So it was when they pull that fucking veil back every once in a while and say things, you're just like, finally, you had fucking admitted it. You fucking admitted what it was all about.
You know, it didn't look like it more and more looks like to me, not like somebody slipping, like a mask slipping. It looks like the meme where they're placing the chip into the NPC's head and it's saying, be enraged about this. She just told you her programming. That's her programming.
Right.
And now she has to have somebody put a different chip in her head to say, you know, don't be so threatened by this. But the insanity that comes with this until they mandate vaccine passports is going to be hilarious because there's going to be so much confusion. I already know a couple people who said, I went inside the supermarket without a mask on and nobody says anything and everyone's kind of confused.
I mean,
in
Texas,
New York,
we've been doing that the whole time.
I know, man. I know. You got to think.
Whenever they said, yeah, Texas lifted its mask mandate, I was like, there was a mask mandate.
You got to think like you're in hell, like you're in the worst place possible, and then you're gonna understand where I'm coming from. Yeah, these people wear the mask. Everybody in Brooklyn, I drive a truck all throughout all 5 boroughs, and I see young people mask, double mask. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. They're walking on it's a 6-lane street. They're walking across the street, no one around for miles, double mask. It's just, I don't really know. I don't care. I don't care what to do with it. I think a lot of people say, like, how could we reach them and how could we change their mind? I don't think we should be interested in that. I think these people will go with whatever the strongest messaging is. So I'm just going to keep working on putting out artistic.
I don't even think it's going to be the strongest messaging. It's the official message, right? They're appealing to authority. It's all an appeal to authority. They're going with the official message. And so, you know, you and I, we see the official message and we see it for the propaganda it is. You see what I'm saying? So they don't see that. They just say, oh, well, this is where I've always gotten my news. This is where I get my news. This is where I'm going to continue to get my news. So this is what I need to know.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the official narrative, and they're just going to roll with it.
Yeah. Why would Don Lemon lie to me? It's like, because he fucking hates your guts. Yeah. He hates you. These people despise you. And the sooner you realize that, the better. But, you know.
They're laughing at you.
Yes. Yeah, they are. Yeah. I saw a segment in the morning with one of the, I forget some lady's name, but she was saying that Fauci said that maybe adults that are vaccinated don't have to wear a mask, but if kids, they're not vaccinated, so they have to wear a mask. So she's walking with her daughter and her daughter has a mask and she doesn't, and she has to explain why. And it's like,
Yeah, I remember
what the?
that.
You remember that shit? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the one that went after
She
Trump.
was like,
and
I didn't even know how to tell her. It's like, just
Yeah.
tell her to take the fucking mask off.
just tell your daughter you're an
abusing
asshole.
your fucking child.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of that going around.
I saw one in Dallas, man, and I about fucking flipped my shit. And if I were more interventionist, I would have said something to this parent. But they're walking, this little boy couldn't have been more than 2-3 years old, and he had a mask on that said "mask it or casket."
I actually have one. I made that mask, but it has like all NPCs on it, and it says it's a good seller, man. But yeah, it's child abuse. I was at the park with my daughter a couple hours ago, and it was the same deal. Some kid, little kid, had a mask on. His mother didn't. So right away, I'm thinking the story that we just spoke about with that lady, like she was vaccinated, and it's like, man, these people believe like whatever they say. And so my daughter goes up and she wants to play because she doesn't know what's going on, and the parent kind of scurries off because I'm not wearing a mask or whatever. I don't know. It's the toll that this is taking on people, on my kids. That's why I'm so harsh to people on Facebook, especially my relatives or friends. It's because like what they allow and what they comply with, it's not just affecting me, which is fine. I'm a grown man. I can do what I got to do, and I'm preparing for what I have to do. But the effect that it's going to have on my kids and their future, right? That part makes me kind of I don't know, skeptical or black pilled, if you will.
So when are you moving to Texas?
I don't know, man. You guys are looking like you might turn blue, man. You got Elon Musk down there talking about that we should abandon Bitcoin and we need to have a carbon tax. They got to your boy, man. They got to him on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
They showed him the Zapruder film. Yeah, man.
So yeah, no, but seriously, are you thinking about leaving? Or are you planning on leaving?
That's the plan. We have the house up for sale. We want to go. Most likely, we're going to go to Florida because that's where I'm Puerto Rican. So all of my family moves to Florida. They go from Puerto Rico to New York. It's a tradition. It's just, yeah. They go from Puerto Rico to Florida to Kissimmee, Orlando. So I want to move.
Heaven's waiting room.
Heaven. Yeah, listen, it's not so great, but when you have kids, it's kind of if you have a support base around you, it's a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. But I spoke to my wife and I said, hey man, in a year or so or less than that, when we're really ready to just bounce, like I'm thinking anything's off the table. So I am looking at Texas. I'm looking at other places. I'm not too crazy about the cold because I dealt with that shit now my whole life, every winter, I want somewhere where it's going to be hot. Maybe you can grow food all year round. Want some land, some goats definitely. Yeah. That's the dream for me.
Yeah. What part of Florida are you looking at?
Northern Orlando. So I have some of my my relatives that I really love. They're in the villages, where the old people are.
Yeah.
But there's some land out there that's pretty nice, and it's tempting. You can get a couple acres for a decent price. So I was looking at that. Although it's still kind of, it's not as secluded as I would like for to bug out, but it's good enough to have a small homestead if I wanted to. Yeah. And also if I can make if you can make the money work from whatever we're extracting from here, and go down there. And we don't have to, both of us do a 9-to-5 and really kind of be a little self-sustaining and then have our stuff on the side. That's the ideal goal. Right. Homeschool, homestead, if possible, and just kind of be sufficient away from the nonsense as much as possible, but close to family. It's a lot to ask. I saw you talking about Louisiana, and you made me feel like shit in one of your podcasts because you're like, there's a lot of land out here. You have a lake on your property, right?
I have a pond, yeah.
A pond, yeah. That would be great. But I don't, like, in Florida, I don't think I would want that. You know, little kids and some crocodiles in a lake or a pond or some shit. That doesn't mix.
You can put a fence around it, man.
I've seen them climb fences. I've seen those motherfuckers climb fences.
Yeah, but at least you have a chance to get your gun.
That's true. That is true.
See that head start popping up over you. All right, motherfucker. Now, you know what? I live in the swamp, man. I live in a really swampy part of Texas. I've never had an alligator on the property, not once. And I live just down the road from like a major bayou. And yeah, we haven't. Now we've had coyotes out there. We've even had like full-grown like wolves on property, deer. Right now we're dealing with fucking mice infestation in the house. So I mean, you got your own problems whenever. Yeah, they get in, and you know you're fighting to get them the fuck out right, once they get in there. And yeah, so you got your issues, you know, out in the country. I mean, there ain't no doubt about that. It takes some getting used to. I lived in Houston for 30 years, but I was always rooted in the country of Louisiana. And so it wasn't a big adjustment for me. It was always something I wanted to do. I always wanted to get out of the city. I always hated Houston. So I was just like, as soon as when my wife moved from South Africa, she was thinking London or Cape Town when you would talk about cities. And I was like, I hate fucking cities. She's like, oh, I love cities. She lived in Katy on the west side of Houston with me for 2 years. She's like, we got to get out of this fucking place. I can't do this shit no more. Yeah. So yeah, we got.
Did you see that? Did you see that article? It said people that prefer to live in cities tend to be psychotic, and there was like a whole double-blind study on it. And I was like, yeah, I agree.
Oh shit, yeah,
fucking insane.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think living that close on top of people, it can drive you insane. You don't value human life as much, you know, because I mean, there's so many people. You're like, yeah, we could. Yeah,
could lose a couple hundred thousand of these.
We might be a little overpopulated. I mean, you know, weed them out a little bit, you know.
Man, I'm actually kind of upset that this virus wasn't what they said it was, because I've been saying for a while, like, especially in the city, man, we need some kind of zombie apocalypse to clear this shit out. But we got like the cold, you know.
Well, I think the mask is what brought the zombie apocalypse on.
Did you see Vin Armani?
It's just a shame you anti-maskers aren't out there clearing out the streets.
Dude, listen, I'm guilty. I'm guilty. I'll put the mask on and I'll blend in with the sheep because it's not. It's not time. Yeah.
Be the gray man.
Yeah. It's not the time to pick your head up out of the crowd. Not just yet.
Not where you're at.
Not yeah, exactly. Vin Armani actually had the thing you're talking about with the zombie apocalypse. It's kind of interesting because our entertainment culture made I don't know if they made or if it happened organically, but like The Walking Dead and all this shit and World War Z, and they're talking about this stuff. It's the same thing. They got us ready for this. It's a mind bug,
right?
And it's actually interesting. He blew my mind when I listened to that shit because it really is, and it's like I don't know, one of your friends that you love gets bit, and now you're kind of like, what do I do? Do I put him out of his misery? It's the same thing, but they're getting bit by the mainstream
propaganda.
Media.
Yes. They're getting bit by propaganda. And, you know, those of us that were immune to it were those that were well-read and, you know, at least better read than, you know, the others. And those, we kind of had this ability to kind of see through the bullshit as it was coming down.
Were you immune to it immediately?
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah. I was like, are you fucking serious? Like it's a cold. Like every cold out there is a coronavirus. Like it's a fucking cold. You know? Like, yeah. Like I just watched a video today. This doctor from the UK, and he was saying, look, if you're carrying around the cold virus, like there's like a 98% chance you're immune to this in the first place. Like you were never at risk at all. So all these asymptomatic people that you hear about, it probably the reason they're asymptomatic is because they have a healthy immune system and they had a cold at some point and it just created a natural immunity for them.
Yeah.
You know? And then he's talking about the PCR tests and how much of a fucking crock of shit that is.
Kary Mullis. Yeah. That was
Well, he was saying what it is the PCR test. What happens is if you get any virus like in your mucous membrane or anything like that, eventually the virus dies and you're like coughing up little pieces of it. Well, whenever they scrape your nose, they're pulling out these dead cells of this virus and they're registering the dead cell of this virus. So if you tested positive for having even dead cells of a virus in your nose, of a coronavirus, not even this particular virus, any coronavirus, then they're labeling you as positive. Well, so like most people like didn't even have it, you know, like this actual virus, it could have come down with anything.
It's a case-demic, like Ron Paul calls it, or the other guy with, I forget his name. I'm blanking out.
Daniel McAdams?
Yes, Daniel McAdams. Yeah, yes, yeah. It's a case-demic. But I'll tell you the truth, man. I was a little freaked out in the beginning of this because I was I'm in New York and
you're right on top of everybody. So yeah, I'm by myself most of the time, so it's like all right, like whatever.
Yeah, and you're spread out, so it's all good. But our governor did a fucking terrible job. He was murdering people on purpose, and he'll get away with it. Yeah. So I saw those numbers, and actually at the time, my wife was she was about to give birth to my son. So we were in the hospital. We were in the hospital at the time when nobody had masks because they told you don't wear a mask, and then they were like kind of like out of stock. People were hoarding them and all this stuff. And I was lucky because lucky at the time I had some N95s from my job where I used to, like weld and do shit like that. So I had a fucking N95 on in the hospital, and so did my wife giving birth to my son. And now that I think about it, it's just such a, it's like it really makes me fucking hate the state. Bless you.
Thank you.
It really, it didn't just renew, but it really enhanced my hate of the state. I wasn't even going to be able to be in the room with my wife as she was giving birth to my son because they were passing all kinds of, I don't know, mandates or whatever. But I made it in maybe like a day or two before they shut everything down. So I was already in the hospital. It's such a shit show, man. It's such a garbage place.
Yeah. And I know, I know a couple of people that had babies over the last year and a half. And, that was their main concern was how the hospital would handle it. Luckily, I didn't know anybody that wasn't able to be in there for the birth of their child. But yeah, that was definitely, if you were ever going to catch it, that's probably where you were going to catch it.
Oh yeah, I was freaked out. Yeah, it has that feel to it, that trapped in feel. Yeah. You're like, I'm definitely going to get sick here, but I'm worried about my son that's not even a day old. Yep. Yeah, I bought into it for a little bit, man. I'm embarrassed to say, but after like maybe a month or so, I was like, all right, this is complete bullshit. And then, then you start to break that paradigm of, what can I do? If this is real, what can I do? Oh, all right. They take some vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin D. I was taking quinine. This is a derivative of hydroxychloroquine that kind of kills the spike protein and zinc and shit like that. And I haven't had it, and I haven't even really been sick. So I don't know.
I got sick, and see, this is one thing, and I need to get Dr. Jack back on. I talked to him last year whenever all this first started. I need to get him back on. Anyway, one of the things I was talking to him about was I hadn't been sick since like 2005. And then suddenly in like late November, early December of 2019. No, it was November because it was before my other dog died. So it was in November of 2019. I got like real sick. I hadn't been sick like this in a while. And I was laid up in bed for a couple of days. I took a whole week off work. I never missed work. I took a week off work and I just laid in bed. I laid there and read and slept, you know, and I was sleeping 13 hours a day, 14 hours a day.
Yeah.
And figured it was just flu because nobody had heard of COVID yet, you know? And then all this started in February, and I was like, maybe that's why I was so sick in November. So I started talking to some people I know. Well, some plants in Texas where they process oil had shut down for a month.
Wow.
Because all their employees got sick in October and were just passing around whatever this virus was that they had. So there was some people that were saying they believed that COVID hit America in August. And I'm one of the people that actually thinks that's possible. Because there was a lot of shit going on at the end of 19 that wasn't getting reported on, but you're like, well, you know, maybe that's why I got so ill. Maybe, you know, who knows? Because I was sick. I was sick for 3 weeks. I ended up having to take 1 week off work, which I never do. Sometimes I'll get a little cold. It'll kind of linger, you know, a week or two and just kind of fucking irritate me, but I always work. I never stop working. You know what I'm saying?
Do you take any colloidal silver?
No, I drink beer and smoke cigarettes.
Look into that. If you get like an itchy throat or something, man, I'm dead serious. It's crazy.
No, I'm serious.
You get it like an itchy throat. You know when you start to feel that, like oh shit, I might get a little cold.
Yeah.
I take some sprays of colloidal silver, and it just I don't know, man. Maybe it's some voodoo shit, or maybe, but it doesn't. It's
no.
just,
I'm really a big believer in all that stuff. The natural medicines and things like that. I eat really healthy. My wife makes sure that we eat really healthy. She's always cooking me fresh food and making sure I have good food out here on the road and everything like that. So I do eat healthy. So I get a lot more vitamins than a lot of people do because of the way I eat. She makes a lot of curries, so there's a lot of turmeric and things like that involved in our food. So, but yeah, I'll look into the colloidal silver.
Yeah, I was gonna say my wife, when she was, I don't know, 7 months pregnant, we went away to Lancaster, and that was around November 2019. Mm-hmm. And she got she was like deathly sick. It was crazy. We were only there for 3 days, and for 2 of them, we didn't even leave the Airbnb we were at. And then she just recovered and it was fine. But it was weird for her because she doesn't usually get sick like that. My mom, same kind of deal. And I don't know. It's very possible that was here with us for longer than we thought.
Right.
And, you know, the government stayed a little quiet about it. I was actually listening to, I forget which podcast.
Well, Joe Rogan. I wouldn't even blame the U.S. government at that point in time. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was just going to say, I wouldn't even blame the U.S. government at that point in time because China was remember, they were arresting people who were trying to say something about what was going on. So
that doctor died.
Yeah, they were keeping everything under wraps for a long time. Who knows how long they were keeping everything under wraps prior to us finding out what was going on. Mm. So I wouldn't even, as much as I hate the U.S. government, I wouldn't even put, if that is what I got in 2019, if that is what caused, you know, the plants to shut down in 2019, that's one thing I would not blame on the United States government. They still belong in prison for war crimes. Don't get me wrong, but
well, I wouldn't blame the federal government, but I will blame the smaller interest parts of the government, like the Faucis of the world who did fund this virology. You saw that with Rand Paul, right?
Yeah.
This motherfucker. You funded the doctor who was doing the gain of function research, and then you lied about. They knew what was going on. Maybe not the entire scope of the government, but the people that had their hands in it, I have a feeling that they knew. Yeah. They knew what was up. It was. But there was a guy on Rogan the other day that said there was a nuclear attack that was supposed to happen on New York, and the government knew about it, but they said nothing. I forget what year it was. They just didn't say anything. They didn't want to make a panic. Imagine that. Everyone's just chilling and just like Midtown blows up. I mean, it would be my dream, but
well, I mean, is it surprising they said nothing about 9/11? They actually did nothing about 9/11, and they had all the intelligence that told them it was going to happen.
So much of the focus of my podcast is to point out abuses of power and how bad things have gotten and the direction in which we're heading as a society. And it can be a real black pill. I've partnered up with Richard Grove to offer my listeners an opportunity to sign up to his Autonomy Course. The Autonomy Course is designed for people looking for solutions, people that want to shape their own future, people that are not willing to be at the behest of large corporations or the United States government or the banking system. The Autonomy Course is designed for those of you who wish to have complete control of the reins of your life, who are looking to be successful, to thrive and not just survive, to provide for your family by utilizing your existing skills and learning how to market and sell those skills in order to be your own boss, or learn new skills in order to leverage that into a new career opportunity. So if there's a job out there you've been trying to get or you've been wishing you could get, but you just don't have the skills for it, the Autonomy Course is the place for you to start, to learn how to land that position, to learn how to market yourself better, to gain confidence, and to be surrounded by a community of like-minded people that will encourage you and help you along the way. So use my affiliate links and go check out the Autonomy Course. It could be right for you.
They kind of, I don't know. It looked.
I don't get into the whole, like, the U.S. government was involved in the conspiracy, hands-on, but I will say that there's enough evidence out there to suggest that they knew and they didn't take action.
Yeah, I'll say that a plane doesn't make a missile-shaped hole in the Pentagon. That's it. You can do what you want with that. There's no wings, no nothing.
I've heard a little bit about it. I don't know enough about that particular part of the subject. I do know I was in basic training when that happened.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. And one of the guys I was in basic training with, his fiance was a stewardess on one of those planes.
Oh, she passed away?
Yeah. The one that went down in the field, was in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
Is that what it was? Philadelphia?
It was right outside the Pentagon, right?
It was on its way to D.C.
Oh.
It was somewhere in Pennsylvania. It went down.
Wow.
It was like outside of Philadelphia or something like that. But it was on its way to D.C. Yeah. So she was on that plane. That was the one where all the passengers stood up and fought back against the hijackers. Yeah. So it was like, well, that's at least how the story goes. Like that, the passengers stood up and started fighting the hijackers, and that's why the plane went down when it did. It didn't make it all the way to D.C. because they were targeting the White House with that one.
Well, no comment. I don't. But the 9/11 stuff is so interesting. It's just, I think it's useless to really go into it, like into depth that much. All the incentives line up for what happened after. For it, I don't know. I guess you could say people with a more conspiratorial mind will say that the government had a hand in it, but maybe they just made the best of a tragedy and capitulated on it for now 21 years. What year is it? 20 years now. Yeah. That's possible too.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
The people aren't idiots.
There was a lot of money that was covered up by those that attack as well. I mean, I don't know if you remember, but they were investigating the Pentagon for losing trillions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And it was announced the day before 9/11.
Yeah.
I
think the amount of trillions was like almost equal to the national debt.
Yeah, it was like
they couldn't account for.
It was like 21 trillion, I think it was, if I remember right.
That's the national debt now. Yeah. But it's just very convenient. And then Tower 7 that kind of imploded on itself.
Yeah,
and,
that was kind of weird. Yeah.
Yeah, the CIA offices.
And I'm with you where I think it's not really valuable to discuss 9/11 because you can't prove anything. I mean, we know the Saudis were involved in funding it, but nobody cares that Trump went and sucked Saudi Prince dick. I mean,
Yeah, what's up with what was that globe, man? That was some
I don't
freaky
know. That was
shit.
some weird shit, man. I want to go play with that thing. I want to see what happens.
Yeah, that's how I feel about a lot of this stuff. Like I guess the 9/11 route. It's interesting, not productive.
Yeah,
like
but
when,
I mean, think about all the things you can prove. That's where I was going with it. Think about all the things you can prove. You can tell people about MK Ultra or Operation Mockingbird and all these other fucking things. And you're like, okay, all right, forget about that. Let's look at Iran Contra. Let's just talk about that for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can say, like, fuck 9/11. Like, we don't even have to talk about that. Let's talk about all this other stuff that we know happened.
Yes, the guy that's calling libertarian terrorists is actually the guy who has been training Al Qaeda. You know, or it's also frustrating. But listen, man, even Operation Mockingbird. You want to talk about? That's not really a conspiracy theory at this point.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Like, there's a YouTube video on it.
Yeah, MK Ultra, Operation Mockingbird, Iran Contra. You can prove all these things. You don't even have to. I can go to CIA.gov and get all the documents and read them to you. Like, it's like there are documents on CIA.gov right now that they're like in 1978, the CIA's House Intelligence Committee investigating the CIA. And the CIA is like, yeah, we've infiltrated about 98% of the media.
Yeah,
but it's not a secret.
but Tommy, American Idol's on at 8 p.m. So I mean, you know, we got to watch that
too.
American Idol's been a piece of shit show since season 2 at least. This is what these people are worried about, you know.
Clay Aiken is a CIA operative.
Probably. Clay Aiken's a clone. I mean,
right. Who's that? Who's the mean British guy on there? MI6, definitely.
100%. Yeah. Simon. Yeah, he goes. He puts on a suit afterwards and just murders people.
Yeah. He is James Bond.
But yeah, man, that's where the society's at. This is a complete bread and circus, and it's kind of amazing that I don't know. I feel like I'm an idiot, and I'm like, how do I recognize this stuff? What's going on in my brain? You know?
Well, because you're not an idiot. I mean, you're a very intelligent person who's at least taken the time to research, and that's the thing that we all have to figure out about ourselves is when we're looking around and we're like, oh, 95% of this country is a fucking bunch of fucking retards. Yeah. And we're a bunch of fucking autists that they think are crazy.
They made us this way.
They think we're fucking insane.
Yeah. You made me this way with your vaccines.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what pops up after these fucking round.
Yeah, like a whole batch of Ron Pauls probably.
Like, you're gonna have those fucking you're gonna have this dude that's gonna just fucking transform into like the Hulk, but he's gonna be black and gold.
Yeah, man. Oh God, yeah. I don't.
Oh, by the way, I really like that Eric July art you did.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
that's
was
one.
Really cool.
I had that one in my head for a little while, and I'm like, I just got to make it happen. So one day I just, bit down on my mouth guard and I finished the whole thing. I put it out, and the reception is pretty good. I'm glad people liked it.
Yeah, that one's cool.
He liked it. He retweeted it. So maybe I'll.
Oh, did he? Awesome.
Yeah. It's I like that guy too, man. He's no bullshit,
Yeah, I like Eric. Yeah, I've listened to quite a bit of his work. I really like listening to.
Yeah, I'm kind of where he's at too. Like as far as I mean, I'm part of the Mises Caucus. I'm a member. I pay dues, and obviously I'm friends with Josh Smith and all these people. But part of me is just I grew up in the church, and I understand the foundation of it and like the framework of what goes on there. It's politics, but it's a church. So it wouldn't surprise me if, it just devolves into politics again. I'm skeptical of it, but I think they're doing good stuff.
That was a really strange way to say fuck them hoe ass roads.
Exactly, man. Fuck those old ass roads. Yeah. I don't even know where I went. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. Yeah, no, Eric does some really good work. I've heard him on Pete's show a couple of times. I enjoy listening to him there. I'd love to have him on sometime. I don't know. I've never reached out to him, and there's quite a few guys I've never reached out to that I'm like, yeah, I'd like to talk to that guy sometime. Like Michael Rechtenwald. I would love to talk to Michael Rechtenwald.
I'm not too familiar with him.
Michael Rechtenwald would probably go down a like 3 hours CIA has infiltrated everything rabbit hole.
Oh shit! All right, I got to get on this guy.
Yeah, he wrote the book Google Archipelago.
Google. I've seen that. Yeah.
And basically, he goes through and he shows through documents how the CIA funded all of big tech.
Yeah. There's something. It's not a conspiracy, but the CIA had a program, and the day that program ended, Facebook was created. Mm-hmm. I forgot what it was called. Yeah,
it was called. Oh shit! I was just looking at it the other. Friend time or something like that.
Yeah, some bullshit like that.
Yeah, it was something cheesy.
It really puts a nail in the coffin.
It wasn't near as cool as Operation Mockingbird.
Yeah, I know these people. Man, their names have really declined as of late, but their work is tremendous.
They're running out of words. They're running into the Orwell problem. All right, Orwell wrote this essay back in the 40s called "Politics in the American Language," and he's just like the entire essay is just ranting and raving about how the political system is ruining the English language.
Yeah,
and it's a great essay, and I just see that every time they come out with a new euphemism, I'm like, this isn't near as good as the last one you had.
Yes, exactly.
Build Back Better just doesn't have the same ring as Patriot Act. Like.
Yeah, you're right. But that's with everything, man. Even the artwork. Do you see this corporate bullshit artwork that they put? The MTA started that when I was riding the train. I saw that. It's just like the shape. It's actually the same exact style that I used to do my artwork, which is vector. It's called like a vector technique. So it's just plots on a graph and you make shapes and layers and shit like that. That's how I do the art. But that's what these people are doing. So you'll see like a weird oval, 2 ovals, and that'll be this lady's long misshapen legs. And then her face is like lavender or something. You know the shit I'm talking about. And even kids' cartoons, if you look at that, like Peppa Pig or things like that, they have 2 eyes on the same side of their head. It's just devolved. Or Looney Tunes, the new Looney Tunes, the artwork has devolved so low where I'm like, there has to be something to this. You're kind of trying to debase our children's brain or something. There must be something in the creative part of your brain that's not making it tick as much with this bullshit art that you're putting out there. That's my conspiracy theory for you. But I was going to say, I have a dictionary from like 1937. It's like a big one from Webster's with all the old definitions. And I have Ayn Rand's lexicon over there of her definition of those political words that you're talking about. She probably went straight from that essay. So you can't memory hole me unless you come and you burn my books physically. Yeah. Please don't do that, CIA.
We know you're listening.
Well, not yet, but soon they will be. Yeah, man.
No, they probably are.
Holy shit.
I just heard a click in my ear a while ago. So they're probably like, fuck, this is bullshit. Hang up. I don't want to hear this
like,
shit.
Who's he? He's talking to a what? An artist? He's a lobster? It's, all right, go to lunch. Wait till he has Michael Rechtenwald. Josh Smith had on a couple, maybe an hour ago, he had on Monica Perez, one of my favorite people. You know her?
Yeah, she just followed me back today. I was like, hey, look, Monica found out who I was.
She's badass, man. If you can get her on here, man, you guys.
Oh, we probably have a lot of fun.
Yeah, you'll go deep, man. She is great. She is. But Josh is on the list now. If he wasn't before, he's on the list now.
Yeah, I'm supposed to have him on at some point, but we never can work it out.
I'll let him know.
We'll get it taken care of. It happens. And I'm about to change jobs too, which is going to change all of my podcasting schedule. It's gonna flip my world upside down. So like we're actually recording like a couple of weeks ahead of time right now. So,
Oh shit! Cool.
Because I have no idea what's about to happen to my fucking schedule.
Right. Yeah. I was asking you about Dave versus Goliath. You say he's going to drop much later. So
yeah,
I
it'll
think
be next Wednesday, and then I recorded with Ford Fisher a couple of hours after that, so I'll drop it on Friday, and you'll be the next Monday.
Who did you have before Dave? I forgot. The guy right before Dave.
I just released an episode I did with Michael Harris.
No, there was a.
Well, and then the one I'm going to release Monday is with Jose.
Oh, okay.
Where he interviewed me, and I'm just going to re-release it.
Oh, that was a good one.
You're thinking of John Bush. I was supposed to interview John Bush the other day. We ended up having to cancel. Yeah, he scheduled me for the same day that he had his kids. So it was like, I was like, dude, I understand, man. Go hang with your kids. Like, don't worry about it. And then I was supposed to record with Angela McCardle a couple of days ago, and she had an allergic reaction, so we're rescheduling as well. So
oh shit.
Yeah, so it happens. That's part of it. You know, like life gets in the way.
She's great too, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if you've never heard John Bush, man, he's really good. Go. Are you on Odyssey?
Yeah, but not as much as I should be.
Well, check out his channel on Odyssey called The Greater Reset.
Okay. Oh, I follow his. That's him. I follow his page on Telegram.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's John Bush.
They just had a conference, right? Like.
The D3 conference, and they're doing a crypto conference tomorrow.
Okay, I got to pay attention to that then. Yeah. Okay, that's awesome, man. Yeah, man. These people.
Yeah, he's also, I think, I don't know if I think he's still on Unloose the Goose. I think he still goes on there, which is that's Jack Spirko. I don't know if Vin's still doing that. John Bush was doing it. Pete was doing it, and they were all like collaborated together. It was a really nice lineup. Right.
Jack Spirko's the survivalist guy, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I've listened to some of his stuff, man. Yeah, that guy makes me feel like, oh man, I'm so far behind, but
yeah. Well, you know, the only, and this is, we'll wrap up with this topic because we're over an hour now, so we'll just we've been doing a lot of bullshitting, and people are gonna enjoy it. Well, everybody's getting to know you a little bit better, man, and that's cool. You know,
that's unfortunate for them.
Well, hey, let me ask you a little bit more about the art real quick. So do you hand draw and then like scan it into a computer and then work with it from there? How do you do that?
The camera that I'm using right now is from my iPad Pro, and I have a program on there that's similar to Photoshop. It's called Affinity Designer. So I just basically draw on there. I draw on that, add color, layers, textures, pixel layers, which is the shading and things like that. And the great thing about doing digital art, I always did like painting or black and white color pencil, charcoal shit. When you do it on paper, it's kind of like you can erase, but you're leaving marks, and you should get it right the first time.
Right.
Digital art, you got a million tries. You know, it's really hard to fuck it up. If you have the creativity or the mind for it, you can really do this. So that's what I do with digital art. I export the file to whatever size the client needs, and there you go.
So are you drawing it by hand on the screen?
Yeah, I have a pencil.
That's pretty cool.
You know what? I'll post on Twitter. I'll tag you in it. There's a way where you can see all of my pencil markings rather than the colors that are presented in the final sketch. So you'll see there's like a million lines going everywhere, and there's a lot of layers that create what you see. Otherwise, it would just be kind of just jumbled shapes. You know?
Yeah.
That's the style that I'll show you guys. It's
it's interesting to me because my eldest son, he's really into like anime and doing like anime. He like creates art. He was in art school for like a year. Ended up losing the scholarship for whatever reason, couldn't afford it. I don't know what all happened there. He was just like, I'm going to go to community college now because I can't afford to pay for art school anymore. And I was like, okay. Like, I don't know.
It sucks. But you know, you don't really need it. I went to art school for a long time too. I was in for junior high school. I was in some kind of specialty program for art, and then I did more shit like that. But those people, at the time at least, I don't know what's like now, they kind of hindered your art. So I was into anime back then in junior high school. That was maybe 20 years ago or something like that. And the people at the time wanted abstract art. So all the shit that I was doing, which was like real, like photorealism, or you see what I do, like if I'm looking at you right now and the shading on your face is kind of interesting, I'm like, I want to draw that. They weren't interested in that. They wanted me to do a still life or some kind of weird shit. And it's like that wasn't really in me, it wasn't coming out of my hand, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So they were grading me on a curve where I was drawing, like, I'm influenced by, I guess, like the old Roman art sculpture stuff, the human body and shit like that. I really love that. It wasn't popular at the time. So I got some stuff from art school, but not as much because there was a bias. But I guess that's public school in general, right? Homeschool your kids.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. What I just heard is I got tired of drawing big black dick. That's what I heard.
All day long, every day. Big black dick, curve this way, curve that way. I say, what the fuck, guys? Throw some variation in there, yeah. Yeah, that's what it was, man. They crush your creativity. So
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
You should get your son into, if he can learn the program, if he has patience to learn the program, I think that's where the future of art is. A lot of digital art. People are doing NFTs, whatever that is. But it's a good skill to learn.
I don't know what art he's doing right now. He hadn't sent me anything in quite a while, but I know he's working at a head shop, and which go son.
Yeah, man, make your money.
Sell that CBD and fucking those pipes and tobacco pipes because we're in Texas.
And you want me to move there? How dare you?
Right. We need somebody to flip this law on its head. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Malice is moving here.
I saw his dream is to own a townhouse. If you're watching
Austin.
Malice, it's overrated. He lives in Williamsburg over here. But every time I drive by there, I'm like, I fucking hate this place. But it's not for everybody, I guess. He's an interesting guy.
It's going to be even worse because Malice is going to be gone. So.
Yeah, exactly. Now you have like just the most interesting person that was living here is gone.
Right.
Now it's just you hippies walking your dogs. Oh, these fucking people, man.
Hey. All right, man. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording here.
All right.
If you're gonna play this game of pick and choose, well, it's a game that was made for you to lose. It doesn't really matter how many times, it's the same old worn out stories, same old lines. They're all pointing dirty fingers in hypocrisy, bragging on their feats of mediocrity again. Never really making any kind of change, but they keep on getting re-elected, and I find that strange. And that's why I say fuck them, don't feed them, cause we don't even need them. I never celebrate the tyrants that are taking our freedoms. Yeah, I said fuck them, don't feed them, cause we don't even need them. I never celebrate the tyrants that are taking our freedoms. What's it gonna take for you to see that we're living in a rigged democracy? People stand in line for the views that they've been choosing, paying no attention to the rights they keep on losing. But they all gather in the rallies and they chant their names on goddamn well that it's all gonna be the same. Just 4 more years of war and taxes, 4 more years of them grinding down their axes. And that's why I say fuck them, don't feed them, cause we don't even need them. I never celebrate the tyrants that are taking our freedoms. Yeah, fuck them, don't feed them, cause we don't even need them. I never